So we all agree that this is an ethnic conflict, right? In Los Angeles right now, there are thousands of rioters who have been burning police cars, causing lots of trouble, and waving their Mexican flags and screaming "Viva la Mexico" or whatever it is in Spanish, right? This is just not something that I think you can contend with. And I think that we can accept that whatever integration was meant to look like, it's failed. These people aren't Americans. They are Mexicans, and they are telling you very, very clearly. And there seems to be some deeply thymotic grievance in that, because as you can see from the people who support them, 4,500 retweets, 27,000 likes, that yes, once this area of the southwestern United States belongs to a country or an empire called Mexico. Now, what the administrative capacity of the state was in 1835 over this area governed from here, I mean, I'll leave it to you to think about how dubious the claim was, right? But the point is, America fought wars with Mexico. They conquered this territory. That's how that works. But you see the issue. It's the same as the Muslims posting Al-Andalus. This is about reconquest to them. They are not Americans. They are Mexicans on occupied territory as far as they're concerned. And what's interesting is this also seems to be the opinion of Mexico's president, who said, quote, "If necessary, we'll mobilize." Oh, well, what does that look like? What does it look like when Mexico, quote unquote, mobilizes against the United States? Because Donald Trump put a 3.5% remittance tax on money traveling from America to Mexico, which, if I recall correctly, is somewhere in the region of 64 billion in total. And when you look it up, like if you go to Investopedia or something, they're like, oh yeah, Mexico's doing well for like oil drilling, remittance taxes, silver mining. It's like, well, really, that's the second one, is it? It's that big a chunk of your economy. I mean, 64 billion is not small change, right? And so Trump being like, yeah, I want a 3.5% tax on that. Frankly, I think he's definitely cutting that low. But the point is, this is enough of an impact on their economy for them to, quote unquote, mobilize, again, whatever that means. So the fact that Mexico's economy is so dependent on America and Mexicans in America sending money back to Mexico makes you think, oh, right, okay, so they weren't just coming over to integrate. They weren't just coming over because they wanted the American dream, bro. They're Mexican colonists in the United States. And that's how they see themselves, because look at the way she's framed it. We don't want taxes on remittances from our fellow countrymen. I mean, there's just nothing more to be said. As far as she's concerned, the Mexicans that move legally or illegally from Mexico to the United States are Mexicans first. In fact, they're Mexicans alone as far as she's concerned. They are the Mexican Empire reconstituting itself, as I said in yesterday's video, like with Texas, frankly. And they are not shy on just saying it. I mean, look, this is what one rioter said, burning the American flag in LA. Quote, "My Mexican flag, green, white, and red. That's my flag, not this flag. F this flag. I pledge allegiance to Mexico, nobody else, not this country." Okay, so as you can see, and I see like brain Republicans being like, oh, if they're protesting so hard, why are they so worried about getting sent back to Mexico? Because it's not about being sent back to Mexico. As far as they're concerned, they rightfully own this land, and if they can occupy it and resist you, then who's to say that they don't? If you can't take this back from them, and honestly, right, anyone who does this, anyone who says that should be grounds for deportation. You'd be like, oh, they might be a naturalized American citizen, so denaturalize them. It can be done at the stroke of a pen. It can be undone at the stroke of a pen, and then ICE can deport them. Like, this is not people coming for the American dream to integrate. This is reverse colonization, as far as they're concerned. You don't have to tolerate this, and you shouldn't tolerate this. And when the president of a foreign country says, we're going to mobilize, that's a threat. That is a threat to try and take territory from the United States through demographic displacement. Sorry, it's not, no, she's not just calling for protests, right? What the end goal of this is this. It is this. It is this. Right? They aren't shy about telling you, so pay attention. Take them seriously. This is what they mean. They think that is their fellow countrymen occupying parts of the United States, which, in their opinion, are currently administered by a foreign government. Because it's our fellow countrymen. They're not your countrymen. They're her countrymen. Listen to her. Take them seriously. Again, you might be like, okay, these people look, I don't know, maybe like criminals. I mean, assuming they're not in the United States illegally, which they probably are, they're still at least violent, thuggish rioters who probably have connections to cartels and various other things. Let's assume they're just criminals, because there's no reason not to. But she's like, no, they're not criminals. They're heroes. Of course they're heroes. They're her countrymen. So she said the migrants living in the US were heroes while blasting the immigration policies of Donald Trump. Now, that's a fascinating thing, because countries don't normally want to give away their valuable human capital, right? The more people are in the country, the cheaper things are, the more money people make when they're hardworking and patriotic citizens, and they're not just draining off the welfare state. But the point being, normally you don't want to offload large segments of your population onto other countries, because it makes your country poorer, it makes your country weaker. And yet, this is what we're seeing with Mexico and the Mexican president. So this is clearly some kind of strategy in order to occupy places where Mexicans really shouldn't be. Anyway, she says, we disagree with this approach to the migration phenomenon. I love that it's just migration phenomenon. It's just something that has happened. No, it's something that's been allowed to happen. It's not about raids or violence, but rather working on a comprehensive reform that takes into account the Mexicans on either side of the border. Well, how about this? The Mexicans on the northern side of the border get just unilaterally deported, all of them, to the southern side of the border, where they belong, and moreover, where you, the president of Mexico, can administer them lawfully and also morally, how things should be. They pledge allegiance to your flag, they are loyal to you, so they shouldn't be in the United States. This, I think, is an uncontroversial thing to say, and it's also morally uncomplex. The Mexicans in America are not Americans, according to the Mexican president. And she's like, well, Mexicans on either side of the border need to be treated fairly, or whatever it is, right? That's our position, always a call for peace, not to exacerbate any form of violent protest. Although, while the violent protest is going on, I am going to be like, yeah, they're our guys, and they're totally valid. We're not calling for violence, but these are our guys, and they're totally valid. We pledge allegiance to Mexico, and we recognize their allegiance, but we're not calling for violence. Right. Okay. Interesting. And this was because 35 Mexicans were arrested and deported. Mexicans living in the United States are good, honest men and women who left to seek a better life for themselves and support their families. They're not criminals. Well, apart from the ones that are criminals, right? I mean, I'm sure that, there are many millions of Mexicans living in America who aren't criminals, but there are also going to be millions who are, right? There are lots of them, clearly, I mean, just in these photos alone, who are criminals. So you can say, and the ones that were arrested and deported, they probably literally were illegal immigrants. And there are also thousands of gang members who are just not just criminals, but horrific criminals. So to sit there and go, well, you know what? I accept them all and they're all the same. They're good men and women. They're not criminals. Well, you don't know that for a start. But I do find this fascinating. They're honest men and women, who left to seek a better life for themselves and support their families. Why couldn't they be honest and support themselves in Mexico? Is it because Mexico is basically run by criminal cartels and you're probably in bed with them? You probably take bribes from them. You probably interact with them. Right? Is it because of that? Because if that's the case, why is it not justified for America to actually intercede in Mexico to make it so that honest men and women, honest Mexicans, can actually live in Mexico without being, God only knows, the worst things you can imagine, in fact, sometimes happen. So why is that not possible? I mean, I love it pictured. Honest, hardworking Mexican. Anyway, she says, Los Angeles wouldn't be what it was if it wasn't for the Mexicans who live there. Because, of course, 48% are Hispanic or Latino. So, yeah, that's probably true, but look at what it's become, right? it was actually not great that it became 48% Hispanic. And it would be better if if the Mexicans and the various others went back to their side of the border, right? That's the way it is. But I like this. The United States is what it is thanks also to the work of our fellow Mexicans who live across the border. Again, they're not Americans. She knows they're not Americans. She says they're not Americans. Take her seriously. Take the rest of them seriously. They're not lying to you. They're being completely honest. But the liberal mysticism of, oh, well, he's an American now, and he says, I'm here for the American dream. I've said the Pledge of Allegiance. Therefore, he's just as American as I am. No, that's not according to the people who are currently rioting in California, right? Not according to the people who are doing this. They don't think so. So don't try to project your Anglo-liberal perspective onto them, because they don't share it. They have a different opinion on this, and again, it's her fellow countrymen, not yours. Be aware. Because again, this is exactly what they think. They're not shy about telling you, and they're crystal clear. They're crystal clear. And Newsom, I'm not going to go into the response of the authorities, because it's been pathetic, and Newsom has been essentially taking ownership of the criminals, which is crazy when he's saying things like, don't give Trump what you want. Stop rioting. Oh, you've given Trump what he wants. It's like, okay, but you are speaking within the frame of that the Mexican criminals and rioters are your guys, and the forces of Americanism and law and order are the enemy. And Newsom's like, why is Trump threatening to arrest me for allowing LA to be colonized by a bunch of Mexicans? Well, this isn't on, is it? This is not on. This has to stop. And, I mean, I'm going to file a lawsuit against Trump for deploying the National Guard. Why can't you file a lawsuit against the illegals who are doing all of this, or the Mexicans who are doing all of this, who clearly are reneging on their Pledge of Allegiance, assuming they've ever taken one? Like, why are they not important? Why do they not matter? Why is it that you're set against the Americans? Anyway, I could go on, but I won't. The point being, and I really mean this, take them seriously when they say this. They know what they're saying. They know who these people are, and they recognize them as their own against you. They see this as a means of reoccupying territory that they lost.